In traffic, 95.9 WATDFM Marshfield. Streaming 24/7 at 959WATD.com.
Welcome to the Natural Health and Healing Show with one of New England's leading nutritionists, Mark Mincola. The show is brought to you by the Good Health Stores in Hanover and Quincy. Call Mark at 781-837-4900 with your health and nutrition questions. Now, here's Mark.
Good evening and welcome. Get out those snow shovels. It is December, lest we forget, and what a beautiful, beautiful winter's morning. Actually, late autumn morning. Hard to believe, to wake up to, but hey, it's, I'm dreaming of anyway, beautiful morning to wake up to.
It was beautiful.
Oh, magnificent. And lots more to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, this week.
'Tis the season. So anyway, hope everybody's well out there and not too stressed out with all the Christmas schlepping and all the speeding about on the icy roads out there. Be careful.
Oh, yeah.
Not worth all the craziness. So one of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit here is we're going to talk about sleeping. Sleeping. Don't anybody get too tired out there when we go over this topic tonight, but we're going to actually discuss a lot of interesting issues, a lot of facts and information regarding insomnia. And, a lot of people are not aware of the fact that sleep difficulties are as populated as those difficulties are. There's a lot of folks with sleep difficulties and very significant risks for obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, accidents, accidental death, all kinds of stuff here. So we're going to kick that around in a little bit. And solutions, of course, per usual, because there's an awful lot of natural ways to beat the insomnia problem. And, again, correlative risks with cancer and heart disease. People don't think of that.
Right, yeah.
They don't think of that. But important to know specifically that sleep difficulties are correlative with hormonal changes in the body. And everybody thinks all the hormones are, gender-based chemistries, and they're not.
No.
A lot of stress hormones in the body that are affected, and they play a significant role in insomnia, sleep difficulties, cancer risks, heart disease risk. We're going to talk about that. And there, again, are many solutions that are natural, viable, safe, healthy solutions that folks may want to pay attention to.
Yeah.
But I know you sleep well.
Sometimes, when I have time for it.
She is, of course, Catherine Foley from Jarrow Formulas. Welcome.
Good evening.
And are you all set with your shopping and all your running about during the holiday season?
Yeah, well, I'm going on a little trip next week, so my intention is to pick up something for everybody from there and bring it back home with me.
Very nice. And I understand that the Dominican Republic doesn't have any snow.
That's why we go.
That's why you'll be there. You needn't take the mittens with you this time, right? That's great. Well, we'll miss you next weekend, but we'll know you're having a great time down in the Dominican Republic, and a nice, relaxing way to enjoy those days prior to the holidays. And,
get the vitamin D.
Get the vitamin D, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what's the latest, greatest information from Jarrow Formulas. There's always new information from Jarrow.
Well, we have a couple new products that are out. One of them we've talked about before, Sleep Optimizer, and that's an amazing product, and we can go into more detail with your topic. But Sleep Optimizer is really great because it has adaptogens in it, as well as things for sleep. It has GABA and melatonin, as well as the herbs for sleeping too. So it really uses a combination of herbs plus those beneficial neurotransmitters that you need. And, things like GABA really help your brain in the healing phase, and that's what sleep is for. And, the adaptogens to help your body deal with stress accumulated during the day.
Absolutely, and I think that's really the key issue, is that so many folks need to know that sleep is Mother Nature's way of recovering us from the stresses of the given day. A lot of people, they come to see me over the years, and they say, geez, what can I take for stress? And I say about 8 hours of sleep. Because, Mother Nature, I always look for the natural solution, the most natural solution.
Right.
And when you look at the way the game of life is set up, nature said, look, we're going to allow you to go through certain things that are a little bit difficult from time to time, but we're also going to turn out the lights, and we're going to turn down your hormonal responses in some areas and turn them up in other hormone areas so that we can actually count on getting you some recovery.
Yeah.
And that REM sleep is what it's all about.
Yeah, and, also, for a lot of people, some people may not have trouble going to sleep. They're just exhausted and, fall asleep. And one of the biggest problems for people is waking up, actually, and waking up and feeling good. A lot of people wake up and feeling really, really groggy.
Wiped out.
Yeah, and it's hard to kind of get into that alert phase, and so we're taking caffeine and things like that to wake us up. But that not being able to wake up early in the morning and feel good when you wake up is an indicator of the fact that you're not sleeping well, you're appropriately.
Absolutely.
So.
No question. And I think the optimizer formula that Jaro put together, a very interesting formula with the GABA. A lot of folks don't know what GABA is, gamma-aminobutyric acid.
It's fun to say.
It's fun to say, but you can call it GABA.
GABA.
And GABA is really a very powerful support agent to your adrenal stress recovery.
Yeah.
And your brain really needs to get those GABA levels elevated. And a lot of folks, of course, a lot of researchers, a lot of professional experts suggest that GABA is very hard to absorb because it doesn't penetrate the brain-blood barrier.
Sure.
But I always tell people, something, if you take your GABA with just a wee bit of fat, fat, of course, will penetrate the brain-blood barrier. So let's say, for example, you're taking your GABA at night. If you just take 1/3 of a teaspoon of olive oil while you're taking that GABA, I'll bet you absorb that a whole lot better.
Oh, that's amazing.
So the objective really is to get a good quality lipid in the mix here to be able to absorb that. But, melatonin, a lot of these studies indicate that one of the primary reasons the researchers assume that folks who don't get adequate sleep are at a higher risk for cancer, especially women with breast cancer, is because they find that the lack of sleep leaves them with a deficiency of melatonin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this melatonin is more than just something you buy over the counter to help yourself get a little rest.
Right.
Melatonin is a naturally produced hormone in the brain, and it really is very significant at helping you recover from stress.
Yeah, and also one of the things that's important is just the foods that we eat before we go to sleep. A lot of people will have, a snack at night, and they may be some of those, high-carb snacks that, they boost your insulin levels while you're sleeping, and, it just kind of sets you up for a bad routine.
Right. Well, there's a researcher from MIT, Judith Wertman, and over the years she's written a number of books and done a number of different presentations. She believes and she suggests that if folks really want to help themselves get some rest and some sleep at night, that they use a good complex carbohydrate snack at night before bed without the milk. In other words, let's say you have a very small bowl of oatmeal or something like that, or whole grain cereal. But she said the minute you put the milk or any kind of soy milk or whatever on there, you really defeat the purpose, because the protein basically interferes with the serotonin uptake. So, when you and I have a piece of whole grain toast before bed from time to time, or a little tiny bit of whole grain cereal, without the milk, without the proteins, we might find ourselves getting a little extra nod time. Interesting stuff. We're going to talk a great deal about that with, of course, Catherine Foley from Jaro Formulas. As soon as we find Larry, who's drifting somewhere about into the into the sunset down there.
He's outside building snowmen.
He's outside building snowmen again, is he? Yes.
Throwing snowballs at us.
Every now and then, Larry drifts off into the snowbanks and forgets that he's doing radio here. But that's okay. We'll forgive him for that. Bill's trying to figure it out. Can't do it. So poor Bill. Bill's ever at the ready, trying to help us out here. But
I hope he charges Larry.
Yeah, he does. He's going to charge Larry a little extra Christmas funding for this. And yes, there he is, indeed, the man of the hour, Larry Nelson. All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Right in our area, we are fortunate to have one of the top martial arts schools in the country. Personal best Karate. Personal Best has been recognized for their community involvement, professional staff development, character building programs, and exciting educational curriculum. Personal Best stands at the top of their industry. 5 locations offering personalized professional instruction. Not sure if karate is right for you? At no obligation, the staff at Personal Best will guide you in a private introductory program to see if karate is indeed the right fit to help you achieve your goals and meet your needs. What does karate at Personal Best teach you? Character building, success habits, helps you get in shape, relieve stress, self-control, setting goals, and of course, self-defense. Personal Best's goal is to create successful, contributing members of society through the practice of the martial arts at Personal Best. Mr. Chris Rappold is, of course, the founder of Personal Best Karate. He tells me his greatest joy of all is to see the personal transformation in each and every student. Bring out your best with Personal Best Karate. Telephone number 508-285-5425. That's 508-285-5425. Locations in Norton, Foxborough, Southeaston, Franklin, and Taunton. That's Personal Best Karate.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health, proud sponsor of the Health and Healing Show. For 31 years, we've been helping the South Shore communities eat well, get healthy, and stay fit. Just remember, everything Dr. Mark recommends is available at remarkable savings at Good Health in Quincy Center and Route 53 in Hanover. One-stop shopping for the finest selection and best quality of food, supplements, and gifts. Thanks so much for listening.
Alrighty, welcome back. And we're chatting with you this evening about sleep difficulties, insomnia, etc. And there's an interesting piece I found from Voice of America News this past week, and it mentions that 60 million of us Americans suffer from insomnia. And the reasons given for the insomnia, 4 significant reasons given. Dr. Russell Rosenberg actually authored this particular article. Number 1, medications.
Oh, yeah.
Medications, the number 1 cause of insomnia. Number 2, chronic pain, certainly makes sense. Number 3, poor diet.
Right.
No surprise there. And number 4, stress.
Yeah.
Those are the 4 major reasons given. And according to an annual poll conducted by the National Sleep Foundation in 2005, 75% of Americans experience sleep problems ranging from minor and transient to severe and chronic. Yeah. And they described that number is up from 62% in 1999 when the first poll was conducted. So it's gone from 62 to 75% in 6 years.
That's unbelievable.
So the numbers are really fast rising. The number of Americans turning to prescription sleep aids for help has gone up even more dramatically, nearly 60% over the past 5 years. American pharmacists filled about 42 million sleeping pill prescriptions last year, and most of them were for either Ambien or Lunesta, 2 recent additions to the sleep aid market. Last year, drug companies spent more than $300 million on ads for prescription sleep aids. That is more than 4 times as much as they spent in the year 2004. So, if they're investing that kind of money on insomnia, darn well the numbers are flying. It's a good investment for the pharmaceutical companies.
It's a bad investment
it's an absolutely bad investment for us. But again, we've got a real issue here. We've got 60 million of us, 60 million of us suffering from chronic insomnia right now as a very serious ongoing issue. And 75% of Americans experiencing sleeping problems of some sort. So one of the things I wanted to mention is that, sleep is really, as we've said earlier here, really central to the issue of wellness and really encompasses an awful lot. It's not just a matter of, I'm not sleeping well, big deal. There's a lot here, and we're talking about the whole stress issue, the stress chemistry, the stress hormones we manufacture, and the manner in which our bodies recover from the potential ravages of stress. And again, that's the real issue when we're talking about insomnia, because, of course, stress is a very real chemical issue in the body, a real hormonal issue in the body. And it does increase serious risks. A Columbia University study involving 10,000 people found a correlation between a lack of sleep and a higher body mass index. Those who got only 2 to 4 hours of sleep every night were 73% more likely to have an elevated body mass index. Those getting 5 to 6 hours were more prone to obesity by 50% and 23% respectively.
Wow.
And researchers believe that the sleep deprivation triggers an imbalance in the levels of ghrelin and leptin. Of course, ghrelin's a hormone that increases appetite. And leptin, of course, helps us govern our satiety response. So a lot of corollaries here. Again, this is a Columbia University study of 10,000 people that correlates sleep difficulties with obesity.
Wow.
So weight problems are definitely correlative here. Also diabetes. Folks not getting enough sleep, their body basically becomes far less sensitive to insulin, decreases its ability to regulate blood sugars, of course, leading to type 2 onset diabetes. That was a University of Chicago study. Found that participants are 25% less sensitive to insulin. Those folks who were developing what we call slow-wave sleep patterns, those folks who are not sleeping consistently through the night, 25% less sensitive to insulin, and experienced a 23% increase in their blood sugar levels.
Wow.
So a lot more type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
Almost a quarter of an increased risk.
Wow.
25% or so increased risk. Harvard nurses study recently found that those who slept for just 5 or 6 hours a night were shown to be at significantly greater risk for coronary events. Lack of sleep has been associated with high blood pressure, of course, elevated levels of stress hormones such as cortisol. And additionally, another study conducted at Penn State University found that people who didn't get sufficient sleep had higher levels of cytokines in their blood, triggering inflammation, which damages tissues and plays a significant role in heart disease. Most folks are not aware of the fact that heart disease is an inflammatory condition, and so too is cancer, for that matter. So these inflammatory cytokines, these insulin problems, these various hormonal problems that jack up our body mass index risks, these are all directly correlative with a lack of sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So sleep is a very complicated chemical issue in the body. And also, as we pointed out earlier, lack of slumber can also cause very serious hormonal problems with melatonin.
Yeah.
And melatonin is the hormone that the brain produces when we sleep, and it plays a significant role wiping out free radicals.
Right.
And that, of course, is all about the cancer-fighting capability, because if your body has a sufficient supply of melatonin to protect us from these cancer-causing free radicals, then our risk factors go down. But of course, the opposite is happening here, that folks who are not sleeping well are losing that protective support of melatonin, and cancer risks are dramatically driving up, especially for those women. We've got some specific studies in here regarding women's risk for breast cancer.
Wow.
So that melatonin is so very important. How many milligrams, out of curiosity, of melatonin? There's probably, 1, 2, 3 milligrams in there?
It's actually just 0.3 milligrams.
0.3, because it's one of several things that are in there. I would, that's the key.
Yeah, and it's, this may be something that you're taking on a consistent basis. And also, there's tryptophan in there, too. And tryptophan will help with melatonin production.
With melatonin production, absolutely right. So that was, again, we're talking about the Jaro Sleep Optimizer, which kind of
new product from us.
Puts it all together very nicely for us.
Yep.
But when we talk about the risk of breast cancer for women who are not sleeping adequately, this is a really interesting study that was in PreventDisease.com, and it appeared this November, just a couple weeks ago. Women who sleep less than 6 hours a night could be raising the risk of breast cancer by 62%. Wow. 62%, according to research. Scientists believe sleep disruption interferes with the production of a hormone called melatonin, which plays an important role in protecting them from cancer. The research in Japan recorded the lifestyle habits of 24,000 women, ages 40 to 79, over an 8-year period. Results showed that those who regularly had 6 hours of sleep or less were 62% more likely to have breast cancer compared to those who slept 7 hours or more.
Right.
And the researchers believe that melatonin, a hormone produced by the brain during sleep to regulate the body's internal clock, helps suppress the amount of estrogen released.
That's amazing.
Estrogen is, of course, known to be a factor in the development of a significant number of breast cancer cases. So there you have it. I think, the idea we talked about, the melatonin that you produce in your brain when you do get quality sleep protects you from free radicals.
Right.
And free radicals, of course, really take over healthy cells and are centrally involved in the development of heart disease, cancer, et cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that you eat properly, sleep properly, of course, to protect yourself from the onslaught of free radicals. But also now, this particular study from Japan tells us that the melatonin and the sleep help us from exceedingly high levels of estrogen. A lot of folks are not aware of the fact that there is such a thing as a problem with estrogen here. I mean, estrogen is an important hormone. Obviously, that's why both men and women have it.
Right.
The problem, of course, is when that hormone is being cycled into tissues and stored for exceedingly long periods of time, and when imbalances occur with regards to the ratios of stored estrogen in the tissues. And that's where breast cancer, I think, really becomes a significantly higher risk.
Yeah, it's a hormone. It will sit in the fatty tissues, or reside in the fatty tissues, which is, breast, prostate, brain, so that's why we see such a huge increase in these types of cancers now.
When you bring up a really important point regarding fat, because there are a number of different unhealthy fats, dietarily speaking, that dramatically increase risks for breast cancer as well.
Yeah.
So there have been some direct corollaries, studies regarding a lot of saturated animal fats with high cancer risks. You tend not to see that with vegetable-type fats, a lot of soy products. And again, I think it's always worth bringing up the point. I did a program, a talk, down at the Hanover Y.
Oh, yeah, the women's...
the women's group. It was a great group this past Monday. And once again, I continue to reiterate the importance here of the misinformation about soy and estrogen.
Yeah.
Oh, please, folks. I just wish I could go on primetime television at 9 o'clock on all the major networks and all the cable networks and just say this for 10 minutes so the whole country will hear it at once, and then I'll never be asked this question again. But, the question that I always get, and I'm sure you do as well, isn't soy bad for you if you have estrogen problems or an estrogen-receptive cancer or whatever? Folks, here's the deal. You've got two different kinds of estrogen. You've got plant-based, you've got animal-based. And the animal-based estrogens are 1/2000th as concentrated. 2,000 times less concentrated than the animal-based. So the other thing you have to know, too, is that, a lot of the studies that indicate that there is an increased risk for breast cancer, heart disease with some of these negative estrogens, most of which come from hormone replacement therapies that are using horse-based estrogens. And those are what they call the 1.6 alpha-hydroxyesterones. And those are toxic, pure and simple. The plant-based are called 2.0 alpha-hydroxyesterone, and they actually antagonize the dangerous estrogens. So once again, while we take this little detour here, I just want you to make a little mental note that soy is not representative of a bad estrogen. All right.
And it's everywhere, too. I mean, it's in everything.
Yeah, I mean, you literally would have to stop eating completely in order to avoid it. I mean, well, think about it. I mean, virtually all your vegetables, your green vegetables, like mustard greens, all of your indoles, I mean, you have to stop eating cabbage and Brussels sprouts. You probably don't eat them now, but but those of you who do, there you go. Well, so do I. I enjoy it, actually. But you're absolutely right. I think the point here is that all of these indole green vegetables are absolutely loaded. With plant-based estrogens. But once again, animal-based are 2,000 times stronger. They have totally different properties. And last time I checked, we have these animal fat bodies, and a lot of these animal fat estrogens will tend to build up and store and deposit.
They do. It's just the same, when they say that the, toxins build up in fish. It builds up in the fatty tissue of fish. So that's what happens. They're fat soluble.
Absolutely right. So I think that when we talk about soy, we're talking about the type of estrogen that will actually help you to offset, neutralize, or antagonize the risk-based estrogens. And so, too, as we just heard, will a good night's sleep.
I know, back to sleep.
Well, and then the burning question, of course, is, well, how much sleep do we need to get? People always ask me, okay, I get the message. Sleep's really important. I'll get out the rubber mallet and hit myself in the head tonight and try to get a really good quality night's sleep. But how many hours do I need? Well, in theory, the research suggests that you need 7.5.
Yeah.
So if there's a way you can get 7.5 hours a night and make it through consistently without a lot of interruption, and make it through your 7 REM cycles, that's what we call real good quality recovery from stress.
Right.
That's what we call a really good cycle of hormone balancing and melatonin production. And that's precisely what it's all about.
And you'll wake up naturally. If you get really good sleep, your eyes will open, you'll be awake,
Yeah, and as you pointed out earlier, Catherine, I think folks who are not really getting that quality of sleep oftentimes wake up early in the morning, even after having had 7.5 hours of sleep, and they feel like they just got run over by a truck. They're just really exhausted.
Yeah. One of the things that has helped me, and for years, I take 2 NAC at night before I go to sleep.
The N-acetylcysteine, NACs.
And I wake up with so
Really?
much energy. Yeah.
Really? That's great. So
and it just, because your body is going through detox when you're sleeping at night, so the NAC helps support liver
NAC
clearance.
keeps that liver real clean.
Yeah.
I did see
It's
a
like
study.
confession, like
that-
going
yeah.
at night.
Yes, and it's a cellular cleanser for that liver of yours
Yeah.
after these Thanksgiving days and New Year's Eve. That's why I always tell people, I should never tell people this, but one of the best things to make sure you get over the holidays is go down to Good Health and buy some Jarrow NAC, because
you will never forget this.
you will
vitamin.
never forget. I'm telling you, what a difference maker. If you have that New Year's Eve indiscretion, 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 drinks, or maybe 1 or 2 extra drinks, 4, 5 or 6. Then take a cab right to the Betty Ford Center, and we'll meet you down at the parking lot at the Betty Ford Center.
Yeah.
No, but anyway, the
At Good Health with a bottle of
at Good
NAC.
Health, yes, with a bottle of NAC. But the N-acetylcysteine, the NAC, absolutely amazing stuff. Folks are used to waking up feeling real groggy the day after a party or an event because they did have one more than they should have. The NAC really does push that stuff out pretty quickly and clears that head pretty dramatically.
It really does. And, that's one of, I would say, Jarrow has 5 products that are, hands down. Irreplaceable, and they're those products that every time somebody tries it, next time I'm around them or out, talking with them, they inevitably want to tell people how much it has impacted their life. So.
It's fantastic, but I got to tell you, it's advice that I'm reluctant to give because I feel like I'm encouraging people to go out there and
they're going to be bad one way or the other.
And wail themselves into smithereens here so that they need the NAC. But no, it is. It's a great liver detox, and it's a very, very helpful product.
So it helps with those wake ups, and
right.
That's one of the things. If you don't wake up good, you don't go through your day good. You're slamming caffeine to get through your day. Yep. By the time you get home at night, you're so just overrun with all of these caffeine and stimulants that you just can't settle down.
Do you know that I've only had 1 cup of coffee in my life?
I believe it.
18 years of age, studying for an exam, and I said, I didn't feel very good. I said, I'm not going to do that again. I just never had one since.
Yeah, it's amazing when people, how you feel when you are getting good sleep and you're alert and, all of those things. It's, it makes such a difference. And,
absolutely.
Sleep is the first one, and the stress that we all feel is, you can see it in the numbers that you read for people that are not sleeping well. It's,
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that it's really a good thing that we do bring up some of these natural supplements, because there's an awful lot of folks out there that are really under a lot of stress and, or maybe, like we said earlier, taking medications. And for us to recommend some of these natural supplements that really support their recovery from stress and support their sleep intentions when otherwise medication or very serious traumas and stresses are really interfering with them. Great to have these supplements, great to have Jarrow formulas, etc. So we're going to actually tell everybody a lot of really good, helpful supplements here in just a little bit. But before we do that, we're going to escape and pay a bill or two. Stay right where you are.
Hi, this is Catherine from Jarrow Formulas. We're happy to announce our new partnership with Dr. Mark Mincola. When we started out in this industry, our intentions were to bring good quality nutrition, cutting-edge science, and reasonably priced products to the market, and also encourage people to take an active role in their own health and wellness. Jarrow Formulas has been in business for over 20 years and is considered an industry leader. Jarrow is incredibly active in consumers' rights to access dietary supplements and creating good quality manufacturing standards for our industry. When we first met Dr. Mincola, we knew that we had a true partner and an ally in the mission of creating a happy, healthy, and wealthy New England through the sharing of knowledge and enthusiasm for health and healing. And we're excited for the world of knowledge that there is that we can share with you all. As we take this journey together with great partners, great energy, and looking forward to a great future for all of those that are encouraged to come along.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health. We're all about smart, simple nutrition. Let us help you keep your resolutions and achieve all your personal goals. Lose weight, feel better, and look your very best today. Thanks for listening to the Health and Healing Show. We hope to see you soon.
Alrighty, welcome in. And, of course, we got to mention Good Health Natural Food,
Yes.
Damente,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Yes, Good Health Natural Foods, of course, been with us here for 7 years.
Wow.
Getting our back
That's
and
amazing.
taking care of business and making sure that we're up and running so that you can all sit at home taking copious notes every Sunday night between 8 and 9. And we're thankful that they're here for us. That's for darn sure, because Good Health Natural Foods is really not just here for the Natural Health and Healing Show. They're here for the entire South Shore. And they're really on the ball in terms of making sure that the latest of supplements and organic food products, clean, healthy supplements and foods are readily available to you here in the South Shore. And do they know their stuff? Boy, do they ever.
Absolutely.
You know, it's nothing like walking in a health food store that's really crackerjack with virtually everything on the shelves. I mean,
They have some of the most educated staff in
amazing folks.
in New England.
Amazing
'cause I'm
folks.
out there,
and
so.
you're out there, so
Yeah.
you do know that. You know around the country what's going on,
I
so
do.
you know we're lucky to have good health here.
Yeah.
And, you know, Steve, of course, and Tony, and, of course, my son Nick is working at the
Wow,
Hanover
there you
store
go.
now, and he's going
great
to
experience.
the New England School of Acupuncture as well. So what a great way to kind of round out his education.
I worked at a health food store when I was 14.
Did you really?
I did, yeah.
That's where you started cutting your teeth.
Yeah, amazing experience for a young person.
Great. It really is. It really is. So
Yeah.
Good Health Natural Foods, of course, is ever at the ready and waiting to take care of your health store needs. And they're at two different stores, 1637 Hancock Street, and that's, of course, done in Quincy, 617-773-4925. You can go down to 219 Columbia Road, that's Route 53 in Hanover, and you'll find a great Good Health store down there as well. And you could call them if you wish at 781-826-0808. And for all things natural, of course, it is indeed Good Health Natural Foods. And they've got plenty of natural products. We were talking before the break about the importance of sharing this information in terms of folks who might want to know safe natural supplements that are not contraindicated and don't have a lot of side effects and that are clean.
Those sleep meds
There's some
scare me
there's
so much.
Absolutely, no question about it. I think that there's a lot of very potentially dangerous side effects, a lot of those sleep medications, and and the other thing about it is you don't really
You're not
have
really sleeping.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, the other part of it too is there are so many profoundly effective natural supplements out there. Something as simple as coffea cruda. I mean, there's no side effects and there's no contraindications. That's about as gentle as it gets.
The homeopathic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're going to mention those in a moment. I just want to, before we go on to do that, just kind of harken back to one of the topics that I opened up here earlier, lack of sleep tied to a 68% increased risk for heart disease.
Wow.
This is, again, from PreventDisease.com. People with high blood pressure who get less than the standard amount of sleep may face an increased risk of heart disease and stroke, researchers reported. In a study of more than 1,200 Japanese adults with high blood pressure, the investigators found that those who slept less than 7.5 hours each night were more likely to suffer a heart attack or a stroke or die of cardiac arrest over a 4-year period. At particular risk were short sleepers who failed to have a blood pressure dip that normally occurs overnight. And don't forget, we talked earlier about what is the importance of sleep. Hey, sleep is nothing more than Mother Nature's way of saying, we're going to recover you.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a means of replenishment from your daily stresses. And isn't that interesting, too? The key these researchers point to in this particular heart risk study is that folks were not getting that blood pressure dip in the middle of the night. So, when you're up and racing about and you're producing all that cortisol and all that sort of stress activity in your chemistry, you need to turn out those lights and shut it down.
Wow.
Your body needs that. The findings were based on data from 1,255 men and women with high blood pressure were between the ages of 33 and 97. Of course, that's because they were in Japan. And the average age was 70. The researchers used portable blood pressure monitors to record each participant's blood pressure changes over a given 24-hour period and then followed the patients over an average of 50 months, 50. Pretty extensive study. In general, the team found men and women who slept for less than 7.5 hours per night had a 68% higher risk
Isn't that amazing?
of one of these cardiovascular complications than their better rested counterparts.
That's amazing.
So, again, so many folks are on the lookout out there.
Right.
What do I take for this? What do I take for that? Should I take fish oils for my cholesterol? Should I be put on statin drugs? We always bring up the issue that more than half the people who die of heart disease every year have normal cholesterol levels.
We do, absolutely.
So we're running around taking statins. We're running around taking fish oils. We're exercising. We're doing all kinds of things.
Right.
But how many people really sit down and say, I've got to work on getting better sleep?
Yeah.
Very few is the answer.
Yeah.
Yet, you increase your risk of heart disease nearly 70%, 70.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are very few things that are going to drive up your risk factors like that.
And for people, for stress, if it's the stress causing your mind to be so active that you can't settle down, and I guess you really have to assess what is it that's causing the difficulty for my sleep. Is it an overactive mind, or for some people they just can't get themselves into that REM sleep, so it's something biochemically.
Well, I think you've hit on a real key point, and I think that's precisely what the issue is, because when these researchers who are talking about blood pressure say there is no time to really recover from that BP by a dip, by getting that blood pressure dip, there's where the risk factors come in. So I think you're absolutely right. When you're up and awake and worried, you're producing cortisol. It's a stress hormone. You're producing adrenaline.
Right.
It's a stress hormone. You need to shut those off.
My favorite for that is theanine, L-theanine.
Theanine's great. Yes, it is, from green tea.
Yeah, and it helps your brain produce an alpha wave, and for a lot of people that's the REM wave, for sleeping. So it really settles the mind down.
You're absolutely right. It's a great product to finally unplug all of that energy. And I
unplugging the brain.
Well, that's right. But here that is the key, because I want people to have this image. I like to give people these images.
Image.
Here's an image. You drive your car around all day long, and then you open up the garage door. You pull your car in after being on the highway. And suddenly what you're going to do now is you're going to put your car in park, but you're going to put a brick on the accelerator pedal and leave it idling like that all night long.
Oh my God, that's it.
There's an image. Now, how long is that car going to last?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
The viscosity is going to break down. That thing's going to burn out. And that's exactly what people are doing. They're burning out because they're not getting quality sleep. But again, in 2005, 75% of Americans stated they were experiencing sleep problems ranging from minor to severe, and that's up from 62%. So we're up 13% over a period of 6 years. So we're basically increasing with our sleep problems about 2% a year, and presently 60 million Americans are suffering from chronic sleep difficulties, which basically means health issues, correlative. And another interesting study that I gleaned here is 1/4 of children who sleep fewer than 10 hours of night are overweight by the age of 6. Wow. So it's not just a problem among adults. It's unfortunately, if you can ever imagine this, a problem among children. Now, when I was a kid growing up, one thing you would never, ever hear of is children having sleep difficulties.
I know.
You'd never imagine that day would come. But this goes on. Between the ages of 6 months and 6 years old, close to 90% of children have at least one sleep-related problem now. Among the most common issues are night terrors, teeth grinding, and bedwetting. For the majority, it's simply a stage that passes, but at least 30% of the children in this age group have difficulties sleeping 6 consecutive hours. And that's based on research done at the University of Montreal. But when you think about it, This is a study of 1,138 kids. Found that 26% of those kids who didn't sleep enough were overweight, 18% carried extra weight, and 7% were obese. And the researchers tell us directly correlative with their sleep problems.
Wow. Yeah, it's that cortisol. If your body doesn't have time to spin it out of the liver, it stays. And cortisol causes people to hold on to
it's really sad to think that so many young children in this country right now are that stressed.
Oh yeah, we're in big trouble.
We are in big trouble, absolutely. But again, the 5 major health habits correlative with sleep disturbances would be obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and accidents.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about some of these natural supplements that can help folks get more quality rest, more quality sleep, that's 7.5 hours that they need. One of them, of course, we mentioned melatonin.
Yeah, we have melatonin straight. It's called melatonin, MELLOW.
You guys not only have all the bases covered, you guys got all the names covered.
They kill me with some of the names.
Larry, do you like that? Melatonin? I like that. Melatonin. All right, so Jarrow Formulas has some melatonin. How many milligrams of melatonin is that?
We have 2 products. One of them is a sustained release melatonin formula, and the melatonin is a 3 milligram melatonin. What's really great about our product is that it has 2 milligrams of B6 in there. You have to have vitamin B6 when you are taking melatonin.
That's right.
Or else you'll it spins your B a little bit, so you have to put that in there to help with the assimilation of the melatonin. So the sustained release is 1 milligram, and the melatonin is 3. He had to, didn't he?
Larry Nelson can't help himself every now and then. He didn't get to play the Candida theme this evening, so... So melatonin and sustained release melatonin. And we're looking at 3 milligrams?
Yeah. And there's some research, it's from France, a clinic in France that did research on melatonin, and they actually really do support the use of low doses of melatonin over a long period of time for women, as you had mentioned, to kind of correct a lot of estrogen imbalance problems.
Absolutely.
And thyroid problems and things like this.
I remember a woman that I saw about 15 years ago or so.
Right.
And she was having sleep difficulties, and I recommended 3 milligrams of melatonin, which is a pretty standard supplement dose. And she called me back and she said, that's not helping me. And I said, well, we'll work in another direction. And it was funny, I had not heard from her in about 4 or 5 months. So about 5 months later, she called me and she said, no, I don't want you to get mad at me. And I said, well, what happened? She said, well, I decided to do my own experimentation on my own.
Right.
And she said, I decided to add 1 melatonin each night.
Interesting.
Until I found the level that worked for me.
Interesting.
So she said, I went to 2 melatonins and the 6 milligrams, and that didn't work. And then I went to 3 at 9 milligrams. She said, I had to work my way all the way up to 6 melatonins or 18 milligrams.
Wow.
I sleep like a baby.
That is wonderful that she did that and she had the insight to do that. And I really do encourage people to, figure out what your body wants. We're all different.
Absolutely, but I think about that and I think, absolutely, I agree completely, but I think, there's no way I could have ever recommended 18 milligrams of melatonin. I wouldn't have slept that night if I recommended 18 milligrams of melatonin. But anyway, interesting.
You can take a gallon.
Yeah. Well, also, we should probably mention L-tryptophan, should we not?
Yeah, this is a new product for us because it was taken off the market for a while. It's like... It always astonishes me, all the pharmaceuticals that are out there, like killing people left and right. And tryptophan, what happened is there was a batch of tryptophan that came into the market that was from China, and it was contaminated with a bacteria, so some people got sick. But tryptophan is extremely safe, and so it's back on the market, and we are ecstatic about being able to have it.
What is it with things that come into this country from China? I don't know. I just read an article today, 1 out of 3 toys are toxic. I wonder where they come from.
It's interesting you say that. I have a friend that their kiddo...
Is anything in China non-toxic?
I don't think so.
I think they send out the toxic stuff to the United States, and they keep all the good stuff over there. You know,
it's absolutely true. Yeah, I have a friend that their kid was just diagnosed with really high lead levels, and they have a feeling it's coming from some of the toys. So
no doubt they were not made in Dearborn, Michigan.
Interestingly enough, Jaro is really big in China. We have one of our executives is from China, and so she really opened up the business for us there.
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
They love our products because they're clean. And you know, Paylin was actually saying that they love American products because they know that they can depend on them.
Well, that's because there's regulation here. I know a dear friend of mine actually is involved in a large sort of manufacturing industry. And she actually is one of the folks that oversees safety in China, in their plant in China. And she says, you cannot imagine what I have to go through with the Chinese government to make sure that those folks are safe.
Wow.
They have absolutely nobody protecting them. They have nobody defending their rights.
Wow.
They have nobody insisting upon their well-being and their health.
Right.
And, you know, the way things run in China is just we turn on the switch, and if you want to make money, you show up at work, and you don't complain about the conditions.
Thanks.
And let me tell you, it's remarkable what this country goes through to regulate and keep things generally pretty on the up and up.
We're very lucky.
We definitely are very lucky. Also, one of the things... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. No, that was it. I felt bad. I was taking us off topic.
Well, tryptophan is the thing we wanted to talk about, and tryptophan should be taken at 500 milligrams. I say you could take 2 of those before bed at night if you have any stubborn insomnia.
Yeah.
And all it's going to do is increase your serotonin levels and make you feel kind of mellow and just kind of happy and take some of that nasty edge off of you. Take some of those stress hormones and knock them down a peg or two.
And you won't feel groggy in the morning.
No.
So
with none of these things. And of course, my favorite thing to use is passion flower tincture.
I actually love passion flower.
And I love the Quantum.
Right. Yeah, I do too.
Your friends at Quantum make a great product.
It's it.
But I'm going to guarantee you, folks, if you go down to Good Health Natural Foods and purchase some Quantum, that's the brand, Quantum, passion flower tincture, the little dropper bottle.
Yeah.
And you just squeeze 25 to 30 drops down the hatch, and it doesn't taste bad at all. It actually tastes kind of good.
Their tinctures taste good.
They taste good.
Leave a lot of the whole herb in there, and it just, they do a good job.
And within about 10 minutes, it's good night, Irene. You wake up the next day and say, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And one of the nice things about it is you can keep it right by the bedstand. So let's say you do get a good 5 hours, which a lot of highly stressed folks may do. You take 25, 30 drops, you sleep for 5 hours, you wake up at 4 in the morning or whatever, and you just roll over, take another shot, go back to bed, and you're out.
And you're done. You can also put it in water or tea. Say you want to drink tea before you go to sleep, you can do that
and
too.
You will wake up for work, and you will not wake up groggy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Crystal clear. So that's, so far we've said the Jaro Sustained-Release Melatonin, 3 milligrams, the L-tryptophan, 500 milligrams times 2, the Quantum brand Passion Flower Tincture, 25 drops. I really like I think one of the most safe and one of the most error-free ways to do business here for insomnia is homeopathic coffee accruta.
Yeah.
And it's, what is it? It's coffee. It's coffee, folks. And what do you mean coffee? Coffee keeps you awake. Yeah. Homeopathic medicines are basically sort of antidotal. It's like treating like.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is we're using something in very microdosed memory, reversing the effects of what we're accustomed to here. So you take something like coffee. Coffee has a little caffeine in it, of course, and gives you a jag, keeps you awake, get your energy sparked up. So therefore, in a homeopathic version of same, it takes you the other way. So it kind of mellows you out, reverses that sort of caffeine effect.
Yeah.
I recommend a 30x potency, 30x.
That's great for kids too.
Great, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
You get these kiddos that don't want to take things or can't take things. These sweet little pellets just melt into the tongue. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so 3 of those pellets early evening before bed, and then 3 more at bedtime.
Yeah.
So 6 little pellets under the tongue. Again, 3 early evening and 3 at bedtime. I recommend a 30x potency. It's called Coffea, Coffea, Cruda, Cruda, and it indeed is a homeopathic medicine. Works like a charm. And I still like that Jarrow Sleep Optimizer because it's got both the GABA in it, which I think is a really good sleep aid, and melatonin together.
And tryptophan.
And tryptophan. Wow, that's a fan. You're going to sleep with that Jarrow Sleep Optimizer, folks.
I love that formula.
There's no way out of the sleep with that, is there? I mean, you're going to sleep.
You're committed.
You're committed.
If you have fear of commitment, it might not be for you. Go with magnesium.
Go with the magnesium. Stay on the lighter side. We're going to take a short little break, and we'll be right on back. Stay where we are. And don't fall asleep just yet. Right in our area, we are fortunate to have one of the top martial arts schools in the country, Personal Best Karate. Personal Best has been recognized for their community involvement, professional staff development, character building programs, and exciting educational curriculum. Personal Best stands at the top of their industry. 5 locations offering personalized professional instruction. Not sure if karate is right for you? At no obligation, the staff at Personal Best will guide you in a private introductory program to see if karate is indeed the right fit to help you achieve your goals and meet your needs. What does karate at Personal Best teach you? Character building, success habits, helps you get in shape, relieve stress, self-control, setting goals, and of course, self-defense. Personal Best's goal is to create successful, contributing members of society through the practice of the martial arts at Personal Best. Mr. Chris Rappold is, of course, the founder of Personal Best Karate. He tells me his greatest joy of all is to see the personal transformation in each and every student. Bring out your best with Personal Best Karate. Telephone number 508-285-5425. That's 508-285-5425. Locations in Norton, Foxborough, Southeaston, Franklin, and Taunton. That's Personal Best Karate.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health, proud sponsor of the Health and Healing Show. These are challenging economic times, and Good Health Natural Foods wants to help. We're a small, family-owned market, and for 31 years, when you've had to tighten your belt, so have we. Good Health offers the very finest organic produce, natural and gluten-free groceries, vitamins, herbs, homeopathics, and beauty products. So make every dollar count. For the holidays, you'll find clean, organic cosmetics, beautiful soy candles, and salt lamps. All our products are available at our everyday low prices. Come by and see us in Quincy Center or Route 53 in Hanover. Visit goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Good Health, the intelligent choice for everything healthful and economical. Thanks for listening to the Health and Healing Show. See you soon.
Alrighty, we were just finishing up a sip of coffee. No, I'm just kidding.
And yeah.
We were basically trying to make sure that we get the message out here this evening that we were just talking off air about how many people in our circles are using sleep medications. Mm-hmm. And a lot of young folks. A
lot of young folks, and they don't really, I think it's the culture of just like the age that we grew up in. We really did grow up in that era of advertising, pharmaceutical advertising, and just that comfort and ease with which you deal with your health problems is just with a pill, you know. And so things are just...
Because without chemicals, life itself would be impossible. No. Do you remember that?
I say to people all the time, I'm like, you know, how do you think people did it before? I mean, people lived without... you know, a lot of the stuff, but the sleeping pills too, they're so accessible, you know, and people, they don't have to really put much thought into it. It's an easy solution. It's a Band-Aid. It's, you know, I'm not sleeping, so I just popped an Ambien or, you know, Tylenol PM or, you know, something like that. Our generation is a generation of pill poppers.
Yep.
Absolutely.
There's no question about it.
Absolutely.
Do you remember that ad campaign from DuPont? There was an advertising campaign from DuPont that used to crack me up because without chemicals, life itself would be impossible.
Yeah, there's one from Dow Pharmaceuticals.
What a distorted job that is.
There's the Dow chemical one out there now, too, that's all, like, really nice, and I'm watching the advertising, and they have all these, like, world scenes of people, like, really great.
Everybody's happily drugged up.
Yeah, and then they're like, brought to you by Dow. And I was like, what? It looked like a National Geographic commercial. And they were like making people's lives better every
Do you know
day.
the average American right now is on 6 medications.
I believe it.
The average American is on 6 medications.
And we could probably name them right now. A sleep
I'm
pill,
sure there's a sleeping aid of some
an
kind.
Anti-anxiety pill.
Yeah. Antidepressant.
An antidepressant. Blood pressure.
Yep.
And
got to be Lipitor, man.
Yeah.
Got to be a statin. I mean, they're giving statins to the pets now, aren't they?
And a bone.
Oh, yes. You're using Boniva.
I have the 6.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have, what's her name? Sally?
Sally Fields.
Sally Fields. I think they left Sally out in the fields a little too long. They got her doing those Boniva commercials now.
It's outrageous.
6 medications. Anyway, in this case, we want people to know that there are very viable, safe, effective, natural alternatives without the worry of contraindication or side effects. And how inexpensive, for crying out loud, these things are so inexpensive. Give them a shot, give them a try. And again, we'll review those real quickly. The first that we mentioned was melatonin, and as we just as Catherine just said a second ago, a lot of folks now in various countries are using these some of these melatonin supplements to lower breast cancer risks.
Yes, absolutely.
Not just help women get sleep. 3 milligrams, probably more than enough, but make sure you take your B6 with it.
Yeah.
100 milligrams of B6, or just take the melatonin.
I didn't mention the sustained release, the one that has 1 milligram, also has 100 milligrams of magnesium in it, too.
Great. So. L-tryptophan, 500 milligrams times 2. Quantum herbs, passion flower tincture, 25 drops before bed. Keep it by the bedstand. You may need it again. Homeopathic coffea cruda, which is just crude coffee. That's all it is. And it's in its reversed form, so it has a reverse effect, which means it's going to help you get some sleep. 30x is the potency I recommend. 3 pellets under the tongue early evening, sometime after dinner, and 3 more at bedtime. Also, the Jarrow Sleep Optimizer, O-P-T-I-M-I-Z. I think that's probably the one-stop shopper, isn't it? I mean, it's got everything in there. You don't have to buy 3 or 4 things. The Jarrow Optimizer's got the works.
And for people that are dealing with depression issues as well, give it a shot. With the GABA and the tryptophan in there, you may just find that your mood starts to stabilize.
Absolutely.
No
just question
give it a
about
shot.
It. Absolutely. And, we probably should also hasten to mention here that the very first thing I always tell people whenever they come to see me, when they say, what should I take for this? What should I take for that? I always say, let's find out if there's something we should withdraw first.
Yeah.
Because I'm a real advocate of addition through subtraction.
Yep.
How silly is it to basically be creating your own problem and then just look to layer something on top of it as a solution?
You're so right.
I'm trying to figure out the logic in that, and I have never found that. So if you're drinking 11 cups of coffee a day, let's lay off the concept of taking a pill to get sleep at night. Let's cut it down to 10 cups of coffee a day.
This is what's happening.
Maybe even 1.
Yeah.
Maybe even none.
Yeah, this is what's happening.
This is what's happening. Yeah, so I think that those things that are creating the problem, you might start off by weaning your way down and trying to get some natural rhythm and some natural hormonal response in your chemistry.
And also with the coffee thing, just to mention from personal experience, it may be just something really familial. It may be just habit forming. It is habit forming.
Yep.
So, understanding, some of the things that, you know what I mean? It's a comfort, thing for people too.
Sure.
So, weaning yourself off and...
Which, you know what?
You don't need it.
You can actually sit down and have a cup of green tea with everybody while they're drinking their coffee and still have that familial connection.
Green tea is amazing.
And that hour, of course, runs up pretty quick on us. We want to just thank Candida for the awards presentations the other night. Yeah. Good time was had by all, and it was a very special gesture on her part. It was the first annual, and I'm sure more and better things to come from her, but thanks to her. Also, stay tuned for Dr. Julie Johnson following our program with Sex on the South Shore. And also, we want to make sure that folks are aware of the fact that they can view this program on podcast thanks to the efforts of Adam Ing. And they can view it at www.maxhealing.com. Everybody should know that by now. That's one word, Max Healing. Pretty easy to locate that. Thanks to Larry Nelson, Bill Clark, of course, Catherine Foley from Jarrow Formulas.
Thank you.
And everybody have a wonderful week. Remember, be wise, be aware, and be well. Make it a healthy week. Good night.
Thank you for joining.